everything.
Okay, I'm hoping you can hear me and see me. I forgot to hit the go live button. And so I've been talking and talking, and hopefully you can hear and see me now. Any luck now? Yay! Okay. Mark came down and said, there's a little problem. I can't see you. And so hello again. Now let me see if I can remember all the stuff I've said. But I wanted to start out today giving a shout out to our Ukrainian brothers and sisters and saying that as long as we're not supporting them 100%, we are giving permission to one of the most dangerous men in the world to continue on. So it's better to stop them the moment they step outside of line. Hi, Hopi, Polly, Josos, Mary, hi. And, oh, it's so good to see all of you. I apologize. I've got to start making my placeholders sooner, too. It's like I've gotten into some bad habits and I need to pull back. But I just wanted to say I feel better. I had some little bug, and but after a couple days I felt better. I felt so much better that I started steam cleaning rugs, and then Mark and I went outside a little bit every day. And I have a hedge trimmer that has a battery on it. And he said, boy, the battery doesn't last very long. I said, honestly, the battery and my energy are timed about perfectly. So when the battery dies, oops, I'm done for today. So anyway, we've lived in the house 16 years. And we've had such good luck with this garden, mulching and taking good care of it, that it's grown huge. And so what we did, I said, we're going to hack it back. We're going to bring them all back to early sizes, and which means it's kind of bare looking out there. But by chopping everything down to, a foot or 15 inches, we'll rejuvenate it. They'll come back fresh. And I think, honestly, the house was being suffocated by all the greenery. So it feels so good to get it back. So that's done the world of good for my soul. Because, I've talked about August was a hard month, especially after a very hard, hot, humid summer. So it's good to get back outside and get some of this stuff done. So from that standpoint, it's been a good week. Then I also, when I wasn't feeling that good or didn't have the energy, I worked on taking the paper off of the Snails Trail Santa Fe. Snails Trail Al Fresco. I took the paper off the back. Let me tell you, I was talking about, it's fun to take the paper off. By the end, I hated that paper because that's a big quilt. It's like over 70 by 70, so it's a big quilt. I also want to warn you, I thought it was such a good idea when I made each block for that quilt to take and baste it around the outer edge of the paper piece block. Because that way, when you go to put the blocks together, you don't have fabric folding back on itself and then you've got a mess. Well, that extra little basting stitch meant the paper was twice as hard to get off around the edges because you had two seams instead of just one to peel it off. So just remember that it doesn't always work in your favor, but the quilt is now loaded on the frame. I am so excited, and I will start quilting on that this week because that Snails Trail, the free class we did in July, was a joy. If any of you are interested in making the Snails Trail, please let me know, and let me type in my email address, and I will send you the paper piece pattern that I made for free. And my address is ourtimetoquilt@gmail.com. So if you want to send pictures of projects you're working on, if you want to get free patterns, or if you want to join our group's I.O. We have a very nice chat group, and you can have your own photo folder where you can show off your beautiful yard or your quilts or your crocheting or your knitting, whatever you do, anything artistic, we love. So, okay. I don't know where to start. There's just so much here. So, and let me tell you, I really appreciated the time to get well, but I did miss y'all. I always, when I don't get to spend time with you, I really do miss you. I forgot what side is top here, because there is a right side. I'll just hold it up. One of the things I got done also was I quilted my reverse applique splash quilt. And here it is. Now, I'm going to tell you, I did something, whoops, go this way, Deb. I did something, I went against my better judgment, and because I was telling you, I didn't know whether to use a primary color variegated quilting thread or to go black for the background. I went against my first instinct and I used, let me bring light over and show you because it is bright. So, okay. So here, let me turn this around. Here it is up close. Well, you can see that's a very busy quilt. Remember I told you I was going to do the little peacock feather quilting, and I even did some quilting on the shapes, the water droplets themselves. But when I was working on it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's too bright. Because I tend to be somebody who likes the quilting to kind of just show the texture but not the thread. But when you move it back, it's kind of cool. So this is going to go for one of my grandchildren for Christmas. And I think they will love all of the color in it. But got it done. Now I'm just going to bind it, and I'm thinking of using, I have a rainbow striped fabric that I'm thinking of binding it with. Give it one more pop of color. And I guess when you go big, you go big. But I'll just show you a close-up of the quilting. There it is. And I've told you before that my quilt frame is a second hand that I bought off of a woman, and it was an early prototype. I have no idea now. It's got to be 15 or more years old. It was a Janome 1600 that they stretched, and it was a company called New Joy, wonderful company, that said, let's find a way to make quilt systems for home quilters. Because back at the time, they were $30,000 to $35,000 for what they consider a long arm and a frame. So they were one of the early prototypes. And they stretched the Janome to make it 16 inches, which is technically, I don't think, a long arm. Then they ended up, luckily the frame I got with it was their second generation frame. It's a wonderful frame. If I were to ever get a new long arm, I would still use that frame. It's fantastic. But I ended up getting that system for $1,800. $1,800. And it had a problem she was very upfront with. The tension would change while you were quilting. You won't believe this, but I ended up taking apart the tension disc, and two of the they're like little metal plates that are normally kind of interlock so they hold the tension where you set it. one of them was turned the wrong way, so they didn't interlock. That's all. I had taken it to people to try to fix it, and they couldn't find it because they'd set the tension, they'd sew and go, oh, it's fine. But the more you sewed, since it didn't hold the tension, it would start slipping and cause all kinds of problems. All I needed to do was turn around that one little disc, and then it works great. Now, when I do use it, though, I find it's very particular about thread. So to use that thread, that's a YLI variegated thread. It's a picky machine, and I found, thanks to Leah Day, I have found that Issaquart is the best. Issaquart is the best thread for that machine. Otherwise, it breaks often. I had all of this connecting thread, every color I was going to use. Oh, it doesn't like that at all. It breaks all the time. But Issaquart is strong enough to do a good job. But I said, once I started with that, it broke a lot, and I just had to stick in there with it, and but got it done. So now the Snails Trail quilt is on that. I am going to use the same color background, which is black for that one, and just around the different blocks, try to be careful and use dogs, hey, and try to use stitch in the ditch, things like that, because I don't want to be changing threads so often. But if in doubt, I could use gray thread for all the blocks, and that wouldn't show too much. But I'll work it out, and I'll show you progress. I'm hoping I can get it done in a week. We'll see. Okay, so let's see. But okay, I showed you the reverse applique. I have also taken some, I think a day and a half to play with polymer clay. And that Jessima Tutorials, she's wonderful. She's got her YouTube channel, a little shop. She's from Australia. And right now, with our stupid policies, most places have stopped shipping to the US, so you can't get her supplies. But what they started doing is they took away the law that had been in since 1938, which gave exemption to small things valued under $800 didn't have to pay customs fees. And there were a couple good reasons, or one good reason to do it, but mainly now other countries have said, we're not shipping, because it could cost $80 to $300 for them to ship a stupid little package. So that has put a hurting on that. But Jessima Tutorials, she's wonderful. I love polymer clay, but I've never been good at it. I didn't quite know how to make it work. Hi, Miss Marcia. Oh, Miss Marcia gave me a reminder. I mailed Marcia. Marcia, hopefully you got your bead roller. And because I mailed Marcia's bead roller, and I mailed Mary's. And so anyone who wants to buy one of the bead rollers that Mark and I made, I should have brought one down. It's got a nice, comfortable wooden handle. And as you can see, I make lots of paper beads. I make some fabric beads. I really enjoy them. And so it'll cost $7.30 to mail it within the continental United States. So let me know if you want one. The bead roller is just $10. We had extras. We're not trying to earn a living off of bead rollers. And shipping is $7. Well, actually, I should say $7.50. The ones that I mailed were $7.30, but I should leave myself, 20-cent little leeway. So, but hopefully Marcia got her bead roller, and Mary, I know, got hers. So, Okay, so I guess I'll show you what I've been working on just very quickly. I took, oh good, good. One thing I did, I've been noticing, I've been using my bead roller so much that where I painted it's starting to look a little dirty. So Mary and Marcia, you may have to every once in a while put a little coat of sealer on that bead roller. But here I'm going to bring you, whoops, no, I'm going to use my close-up camera. Mark gave me his close-up camera, and wait till you see how much better it is. All right, I'm going to get in close. Here we go. All right. Whoa, don't mean to make you dizzy here. Okay, here we go. All right, so these are some pre-designed papers that I talked to you about Rainbow Lane. And she has, these were free to print up yourself. And they're lovely. You can just print them out and you just cut the shape and you can roll them up. Now, these are the ones I was hoping to have done. I'm not quite finished. I rolled them. Whoops, let me stick this back in. I rolled these beads. I put one coat of finish, which I used the triple thick acrylic sealer, and I put one coat of that. Then I dipped each end. This I used just white acrylic paint, and you just dip them in just gently just to cover the edge. And now I need to put probably 2 more coats of sealer. And usually by the time I finish the bead, the first, I can go back and put another coat on the first one I did. Now these beads, these cute little guys, and see how good this camera is? It allows me to really zoom in. Thank you, Mark. But this is a cover page of a Quilting Arts magazine. And I think these are just so cool. They just look all kind of modern, and so all of these on this corner are from one page, the front page of Quilting Arts magazine. I'd like to take some polymer clay in a kind of coral color to go with that. So, and down here, this is just junk mail. And some of the junk mail had the prettiest designs. And I think that is just lovely. So, and then from fabric, I made these. And this is just rolled up fabric. So, and I took black acrylic and dipped the end. I usually try to go along with the color of the bead. So this is what I've been working on. So now these need 2 more coats of paint, and I like putting sealer. I like putting a coat of sealer on before I dip the ends, because let's say I get a little bit of that end paint on the bead itself, I can still take it off, wipe it off. But you will not believe. See these wonderful blue and white gingham beads? Hi, Laura. And see these blue and white gingham beads? Hi, Kathy. Oh, Kathy Boyd, it's so good seeing you, sweetheart. So good seeing you. But take a guess. You will not believe where I found this, because I think they're just charming as can be. These came off a bag of Harris Teeter flour. Believe it or not, the Harris Teeter brand of sugar and flour has a band of this paper along the top of the bag. And I saw that blue and white gingham and said, that is lovely. So now I'm going to take, and I'm probably going to use white spacer beads with it, but I'll make that into a necklace because I have some pale blue tops. But isn't that interesting? Huh? Oh, hi, Marcia Hahn. But in that, you can just find inspiration in the most unusual places. So there, and one coming up again, I will make a special paper and fabric bead show just to give you some more hints. But so there is, I worked on that too. It's always good. Let me see. It's always good to have a backup plan for when you're just not feeling energetic enough to sit at the sewing machine wrestling a quilt. All right, now let me see what else. So worked on those blocks, mailed the bead tools. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is my polymer clay. I hope I didn't miss anyone. It's great seeing Laura. Kathy Boyd, how nice seeing you. Alberta Powell is here. Hi, hon. Gosh, Polly is here. And Polly, I'm slowly working towards getting my room in shape. So this table over here, I can't believe I'm going to show you, but it was piled so high and it's getting better. So I'm just going to keep working on it because I want to have a sew day with our Polly. All right, I'll go ahead and bring the close-up camera over here because I think I've kind of talked. Oh, never mind. I know what I can do. Before I get to the exciting things, I'll have two more things to show you. All right. So, let me get you back on the close-up camera. Let's see. Okay. Whoops. Okay. All right. So, what I've been doing is, here are some beads I made with this process. And what I did, in fact, I had to get a new can of this because my other can, because I use this for a lot of different projects. It's what people use on wooden floors and things like that, any kind of wood, but this is really wonderful. It's crystal clear. I got the gloss version, and so I got this, and what I do is when the lid is off, let me bring this back out just a little, I put the beads on this wire, I dip them into the can, then I put them on a container to let them drain. And I just want to show you something that I saw. It's a good thing to pick them up every once in a while and just brush off the bottom of the bead, because sometimes the polymer, the sealer I mean, let me see if you can see it. Now that I've got this fabulous close-up camera, see the beads of the sealer? So it's good to just take them. And if you're just tuning in and you're like, I thought this was a quilt show, well, like a lot of crafty people, I love most types of art and crafts. I love it all. So even though quilting is my biggest focus, I do bobbin lace making, I do basket weaving, I do journal making. I mean, there's just all kinds of Christmas ornament making. So now I'm just kind of going along and getting off that little excess. And this is water-based. Oops, I was not even showing you. I'm sorry. But I got all of this little disposable bowl catches the drips. Now, if I wasn't doing so many, I would just leave it lay across the top of the can so it dripped back in. But honestly, this is probably better because since this is water-based, it will dry very quickly. So Anyway, let me move that out of the way. And hopefully at the end of this, I'm going to show you my new thing that I got. And now, this is not as pretty as it will be. But what I did is I followed, and I'm not as good as Jessima. Actually, her name is Samantha. But I learned to make these. And I was so excited. I actually put some silver foil on the clay to give it that sparkle. So when these are finished, and then I took and made the little ovals, and they're going to be for earrings for my daughters. And so these cute little ovals, once they are finished, and I'm going to finish these with UV resin, which I just got a new little thing. I found it, I think, on Walmart for $15. Was a UV resin kit, which is a really good price. And I ordered a couple things, so it came with free shipping. Now, this is an older cane I had done, but it wasn't too bad. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and use it up. So I've got a grandchild who loves butterflies, so this will be made, and I have a cutter that I cut it into butterfly shape. Made some little beads to go with it, but these beads will be dipped like the other beads. All of this is going to be covered with UV resin. So, and here is a little kit I bought for $15, and it comes with this cute little tiny mat. And okay, and then here is the little kit, and you've got to make sure you get a kind of resin that's not going to turn yellow. And I did a little research, and they said that this was a very good brand. And so it comes with 2 bottles, which is nice because that's where you can spend money. And it came with a cute little LED UV light. And it has a cord so that you can, oh, I don't have the cord with me. Where did I, oh, here it is. Comes with a little USB cord. And you then turn on the light, you put your little objects down underneath, and like 15 minutes, and then the resin will set up. So if we have time today, I'm going to show you how to do this. I already opened some windows. You have to have good ventilation. So I've got windows open and fans running. So we will do this. But I thought, you know what, for $15, it gives me a chance to try and see if I like it. And a little user manual. So we will give this a shot. All right, let me put this out of the way now. All right. So now I've shown you the polymer clay work that I did. And I was saying earlier that I was not a good polymer clay person. I just wasn't. And I didn't really understand how to make the canes, and I could never figure out how to make a Skinner blend. But Miss Jessica has been teaching me beautifully. So she is just an amazing thing. She discovered polyclay at 12, and I think had a YouTube channel not long after. All right, so this are a few little things I got, and I found some inexpensive cutters. These are mostly used for people in the cake baking industry so they can cut fondant shapes, but these really make it easy. And in fact, where is the shape I used? Right here. This is the shape I used to make the two pendants for my daughters. Then I had an oval, this little oval I used to make the earrings. So these are very, very helpful. You can cut your own shapes, but I think I only spent for all of these like $11. So try to find those inexpensively. And then remember, whoops, bottom was open. I got my last order from Temu. Thank goodness, Temu, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but remember when I was working on the hot glue resist? Well, I needed some little spray bottles for the dye, because that way you can lay this on the fabric. You can spray the dye on the fabric around your resist, and then it will leave the imprint on the fabric. So I ordered these 3 little spray bottles. Then I ordered some dauber, these just sponge daubers that are good for all kinds of little paint projects, because like I say, I do all kinds of little things. Then I ordered some screen printing. What these would be called, screen printing templates. And this one especially, I can't wait to use it. So what I saw Jessima do, or Samantha do this on Jessima tutorials. And so you would roll out whatever beautiful color clay. Then you gently, always treat this very gently. Then you would lay this on top. The shiny side, I think, always goes down. You lay it on top. You put drops of paint here. Take an old credit card or some surface like that, and you run it up just like someone does when they screen print, and it will leave wherever is clear will have the paint color on it. So I am so excited. There's just all these new things I've been learning, and getting this from Temu I think cost around $3. So that's a very good price, and I'm sad it's going to be a while before I can probably, you know, everything has been turned topsy-turvy in our economy. I wasn't surprised when we got the bad report, because boy, are we purposely going out of our way to wreck it. So I miss Mr. Biden very much. All right, so I've got these screen prints, and I even found this at Walmart, and it has little sewing implements. So I'm thinking of making little things for quilters. Then while I was at Temu, I saw these thin little metallic sheets, and I mean the word gossamer was made for these. See, it tore just that little bit I did, but these are perfect when you put them on clay. And that's how I got oh no, look at this. It is just, that's why you keep them very well covered. But this is all assorted colors. I'm going to have a lot of fun with that. And then here is what I got too, because I've been wanting to try different kinds of printing techniques. And these are normally very expensive. Even this little one. This is a gel printing plate, and I think what it is, I don't know, it's very sticky, but I think it's a type of silicone, but I can't be sure. Nice and thick. This is only 5x7 because they're so expensive. This was like almost $9, and so I didn't get the bigger size, but one day, maybe for Christmas, I'll ask Santa for it. But this is wonderful because you can put paint and stuff here, and on here, and it holds designs, so you could run stuff through it. You could, you know, it really holds it well. Then you can also put your paint on with a brayer, with brushes, whatever, and then you can lay your fabric on it, or you can take and put your design on top of it, and then and do your colors however you want. Then take a stamp and stick a stamp on it, then stamp on your fabric. So this is the best way to organize your paint design, so that you can then transfer images to fabric or paper or whatever. So I'm excited because this will help me with all different kinds of painting. So I got that. Then I said, well, I enjoyed that hand embroidery kit that I got off Temu before, and this one was a little bit more. It was like $5 and a few cents, but I wanted to show you. Now I'm not sure how long or well this would last. I don't know, but this came with the kit for that $5. And do you see how on this you have a little ridge inside this? Well, then the ring fits in that ridge, and I am not much of a hand embroiderer, so maybe this has been around for a while, but I've never seen anything like it, and I love it. I thought, you know what, for the price of the kit, it's worth getting for this hoop. And so here is, since I did one in colors for one daughter, then I said, let's get this one for the other daughter. Because with things being so expensive this year, I think it's going to be handmade gifts this year. Because it just, you know, who knows what we're going to be able to find to buy. So now I'm going to come back to the main camera, because I'm anxious to tell you some good news. All right, here we are. I'm so excited. And, well, let me, I don't know if I have this up. Hold on one second. I don't think I still have it up. So let me bring it up, because I have some exciting news to share with you. Very happy about it. If any of you saw the photo on the placeholder today, then you'll know what it's about. So let me bring this up. Okay, good. It came up. So now let me see if I can bring this over. Yes. Yes, I can. Okay. Now, here we go. I showed you 2 weeks ago, I showed you a beautiful image for our fall Art Quilt Landscape project. And it was so pretty. I loved it just as it was. And see this website. And in fact, I'm going to take and copy and paste this in our conversation, because I want you to be able to visit this man's site. And this man his name is Reed, and he is in Tennessee. And when I find a really good person, you tried to send some pictures but couldn't get it to go through. All right. Get our new email address is ourtimetoquilt@gmail. It's not TWC anymore. It's gmail.com. And Alberta, if you send them to that, I promise it'll go through. ourtime2quilt@gmail.com. Sorry, sweetheart, because I love getting your pictures. So everybody remember, it's now gmail.com. So same name, but just gmail.com. So here is this wonderful site. And it's a man from Knoxville, Tennessee, and his name is Reed. And so I wrote to him and asked him. And I asked, mine's not on here, but I sent him and said, we would, I saw one of your scenes and I said it was so amazing and I would very much like to use one. In fact, here is the scene that I want to use. So here it is, right off his site. Well, I don't want to violate his hard work and his talent, so I asked him, I said, there's one of your scenes that I showed my group and they voted that that would be the one they would most like to see being made. And so he wrote back and said, I said, but I wanted to ask your permission first, and told him what we would do and that I had a small YouTube channel. He said, thanks so much for reaching out and for your kind words about my artwork. I'd be honored for you to use my Smoky Mountains piece as an inspiration for your landscape art quilt. Your YouTube project sounds wonderful, and I think it's such a lovely way to bring the design into fabric form. I just asked when you share the tutorial that you kindly credit my Etsy shop. Oh, that's easy to do. I'm honored to share it. So I've given you his Winder Aspire site, and his prices seem pretty reasonable, and these are wonderful paintings on tile, and just listed as the source of the original artwork inspiration. Beyond that, please feel free to adapt and interpret it in your own quilting style. What a lovely man. So it says here, I'd truly love to see the finished quilt when it's done. It makes me happy to see my designs reimagined in other mediums. And wishing you all the best with your project and your channel, Reed. Isn't that so nice? Also, he just put a side note and said, if your quilting group or community ever has ideas for scenes they'd love to see turned into tile artwork, he's always open for suggestions. So I am just thrilled. And this is the one that I absolutely fell in love with. And if you think about it, let me see if I can bring it. Yes, if you think about it, it kind of goes along with things we've done this past year. Where, whoops, let me get it back up. Where we have been quilting, looking for lines. You know how we have done our horizontal lined landscape quilts. When I saw this, it goes right in with that theme. And then, do you see how he has the leaves on the trees? And that got me thinking, because, oops, my battery's not plugged in. Let me make sure this is plugged in. Got to have this. Okay. It goes along with some of the other things we've done. Like, look down here. It makes me think of Miss Hopi and her recent landscape where she did some hand embroidery. Let me see if I can move down. Let me bring this up. Whoops. Come on. And move down this page. Whoops. There. Do you see on these trees how he gave it some depth and texture? That'd be a great place to do some hand embroidery. But look at these leaves. This is very interesting. This got me thinking. Oh man, he did a wonderful job on the tree bark and everything. This got me to thinking, what if I took and made three-dimensional leaves, and they would stay flat like what, you know, they wouldn't, I'm not thinking of making them stick out of from the landscape, but I'm thinking, what if, let me try to get a little closer in. Whoops. I think I've gotten as close in as I can. But what if we put some texture? If I do some quilting over these leaves and then applique them down on top of the quilt. So I'm very excited about this and trying to think of how to replicate. Look at the amazing colors that he has used. And you know what? I didn't even see the beautiful color on the bark until just now because I've been looking at it less close up. So, my goodness. Okay, so I'm thinking this looks, to me, I think this is a wonderful project. I'm going to drop this back down right now. All right, so let me come back to my main camera and show you what I have drawn. So, because y'all voted that that was the one you thought was so pretty. So this week, I've been busy making my own pattern. I took a hand drawing and I did, you know how I normally do, which you can use 16 folds or 4 folds. This time I did 4 folds of the original picture and I drew a pattern. And in fact, let me go to my close-up camera because I've got a few good things to show you because this pattern is going to be yours. We have Reed's blessing. Any of you who make this pattern, let's make sure that we send a photo to Reed. So, because that is so generous for an artist to say, sure, you can use my image, enjoy. I mean, what a dear heart. Here we go. Back to the close-up camera because I want to show you. I don't know if this is going to make it easier or harder for you, but I took quite a bit of time to go ahead and color in the colors and the striations. But there are a couple. As usual, what I do is done by hand. So there are going to be little boo-boos here and there. It's just part of it. But what I wanted to tell you is when I was drawing these, I had it laying down on the table. I didn't realize that my 2 focus trees are kind of leaning, so just correct those when you do make them. I tried to come back and draw a stronger line up. But what I've done is I've drawn the pattern. And on the pattern, using Sharpie marker, are all the different pattern pieces. Now, one thing that I want you to do, which is what Miss Jody taught us when she taught us how to do the animal faces, you know, some of her portrait work. What I'm going to want you to do with this one, I'm going to print an extra pattern and then I'm going to cut this up into pieces. And I'm going to keep this one. I'm going to make another one to cut up. And when you go to put this light yellow green, that's how I've described all the colors on here. I want you to remember to add a 1/4 of an inch down here. Add a 1/4 of an inch. We're going to start this on the bottom and lay the pieces going up, because I'd like to have as few raw edges as I can, and this is the easiest way to do this. But, so what we're going to do is you're going to put this fabric on the bottom of your work. Then you're going to, actually no, because the lightest piece goes under a darker piece. So, you can put this on and leave it open right along here. Then tuck this in. And then this one is going to come and go on top of this one. So you will leave a little bit of extra fabric. And I might consider, I know this might sound odd, but I'm considering tucking in this edge and then putting it, because I want this to be really beautiful and smooth. But just remember, when you cut these pieces, make your little marks, go along and decide which one you want underneath and which one you want over top. And like this just lets me know, put a little seam allowance of extra fabric along here. Okay, but now when I'm going to be using, I'm probably giving you things out of order a little bit, but I'm going to go back to my Heat and Bond light. It worked really well last time, and I was able to stitch through it without a problem. So I'm going to go back to Heat and Bond light because it's sewable and it's fusible, that it doesn't have so much glue that it gums things up. So the tree is going to be a separate piece. All the other things will go on the fabric, and then the tree will be put on. But now that I have seen his tree with beautiful effects on it, I'm thinking, hey. But what I first do is I take, let me find all my supplies here. I take muslin. That's going to be my background. Then I take some fusible interfacing, and I'll have a big piece of muslin, 4 inches all the way around, bigger than the inspiration. So this is just a sample. This is not the part I'll use. I use so much muslin that I buy it by the bolt. But here's the muslin. Okay, that's going to be my foundation for every, whoops, let me get more, foundation for everything we put on top. But first, before I get this to use, I will get some lightweight fusible interfacing and iron it on the back. Okay, and then I will get my light box and I will put this on top of the pattern and draw all of the pattern on this. And if you don't have a light box, then tape the pattern to the window, tape the fabric on top of it, and then use the light coming through the window to draw your pattern. Okay, you might want to relate the colors, or you can just use the colors on your own. So you will have this drawn with the pattern on it. It's also a good time to take golden threads paper and draw your own pattern, okay, on top of that, because the golden threads paper, you can see through it, and that way you can have it on top just to remind you where everything goes. So it just depends on you. I think I'm definitely going to draw the pattern here. Then this one stays as my master. I am not cutting this up at all. Now, when you go to download the program, this is what you're going to get. And here, this is page 1. What I've done, it's not a full size sheet, but I divide it into sheet size so that you can print it off your own computer. You don't have to go and pay someone to print it. So then you would just take and trim this along here. You can always tape it back together. That's what you'll do, because that's what I did here. I've got seams all under here, and you just tape it together so you have your master. Then the next thing, so you get first a regular paper master, okay? Now, if you don't want to see all this color or use all of this ink, then just put it on grayscale. And that way, and I think I did one on grayscale, but then I forgot where I put it. But I did one on grayscale. Oh, here it is. The first one that I printed, I did it on grayscale, but then I thought, no, I'd rather have the color showing. Now, understand that if you decide to make this art quilt, you will also get an image, the original image of the artwork, so that you always know exactly what colors he's got where, and it can help you if you change it and do your own colors. That works too, don't worry. I'm sorry for the dogs barking. We've got windows open, so they hear everything. But anyway, so then you just make sure you have a paper copy, and this stays with you. Do not cut this up. That is your original. Then I'll have my muslin with it drawn on and fusible interfacing ironed onto the back. Also, I'll give you a little hint. Once you put the fusible interfacing on, I would go around the outside edge and do a basting, because fusibles just don't hold up like they used to, or maybe I'm using the wrong kind of fusible. So now you have the pattern on paper and you have the pattern on muslin. And I use muslin because it's cheap, it's consistent, it's easy to work with. All right, the next thing you're going to do is take scrap paper and cut freezer paper into the size of your printer paper. Okay? And then take and iron the freezer paper. Put the shiny side against the copy paper. And I use like scraps and things. But put the shiny side against your printer paper. That way you can run it through your printer and it will print on the freezer paper. And let me show you. Then, once it's printed, you just carefully peel it off. And save your scrap paper for something else, for another day. So, now, I've got the pattern on the paper, on the muslin. Now it's on freezer paper. Now, you might say, why do you do that? Well, this is the one that I'm going to cut. And I'm going to cut it right down the middle of my Sharpie lines. Okay? Right down the middle of my Sharpie lines. But now you've got to remember where this piece is going. If you want to, you can number these. In fact, I think I will. That's a good idea. So, I'm going to say, I'll make this one number 1, this one number 2, 3, 4. Just number these. And that way you know exactly where they're going to go back. Make sure, though, make sure you number them over here, too. So, I've got 1. Oh, that's a pyre. Pardon me. Okay. So this sheet is 1 here, 2, 3, 4. So you can do them in segments. So this is segment 1, piece 1. Segment page 1, piece 2. So, okay. So when you cut this piece out, and this is going to be, let me bring up his fall art quilt and bring this up. Okay. All right. All right, I've found exactly where I'm working. And so, what you would want then, I'm just going to show you how we're going to do this. All right, so I'm going to cut down here. But this is a great way to keep all of your pieces, to keep them all separate. So I'm just going to cut this out down the middle here. Okay, let's see. And be careful when you cut it, because unless you want to make a couple different copies on the freezer paper, you don't want to damage the one above it. So this takes a little bit of time and a little bit of patience, but I really do think it's going to be worth it. And I think it makes it very simple for you. Okay, so I'm going to let this one stick over here. Now, let me come back here. Okay, got my iron heating up. So I've got my pattern piece. So I'm going to go find the fabric that I wanted for that. And I have several different reds. I think I'm going to go with an even darker. But it's going to take probably longer to choose your fabrics from your stash than anything else. Okay, here's near an edge. So now what I do is oops, let me make sure. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is put this here, and I'll give you a hint. Until you know for sure which side you're going to tuck under what, don't put it right up against the edge. Give yourself the luxury of having choices. And hoping my iron is hot enough. You're ironing that sticky side down. The shiny side goes down. You iron that on. And remember, your freezer paper, you can use it usually about 6 times minimum. So now to cut this out, what I'm going to do is leave a 1/4 of an inch below and above the actual pattern piece, because that way I can decide, and on the edges I can decide. Now the bottom already has that 1/4 inch built in, so I'll trim it right along the paper. Alright, so here is what I'm going to do. And then I would put these in a baggie or a little container. Here is the first piece. So when it comes to doing this section, and you'll have it drawn, so you just match it in, and then you will take, oops, I forgot, that's the other thing. You will take and put a piece of heat and bond, okay? Now, if you don't mind using the heat and bond freely, then what I recommend is you take the heat and bond. This is what I love when I've been working on art quilts. And don't worry, you're not wasting it really, because you'll save it and use it again. But what I would do, and you can see I've already done this, I would pick a good size piece of this heat and bond. Then I would take my fabric, and I'm going to iron this onto the back of the heat and bond. Okay, like this. Now let me see if I can pull off this piece. Nope, it came with the pink, so that's okay. In fact, I do have areas where I need pink, so there I've got some pink. Okay, so now I can cut this piece loose. Okay, because what I'll do, instead of carrying a whole basket of fabric with me, is I'll pre-prepare some pieces like this. Then that way, when I go to cut them out with the freezer paper, pretend it's just the freezer paper, I can go ahead and lay it on here. I can iron the freezer paper onto this, which already has the heat and bond on the back. Okay? And keep everything in nice little containers labeled. I am going to have 4 containers for this. There's going to be a page 1, all the pieces from page 1. Then page 2, right here. And look how different this is, because the other side of his artwork is sky coming down into the Smoky Mountains. So really pretty. So page 1, page 2, and if you look, this time I numbered the pages in the same place, put a little circle around them. So 1, 2, then this one is 3, so this one's going to go here, and 4 right here. And there you go. So we're going to have all these little pieces, and remember, when you cut out the fabric, leave 1/4 of an inch all the way around. That way you have the ability to tuck under an edge, to if you're going to lay that fabric on the top, then you can tuck it under so that you have a very nice finished piece. So, and I would probably sew these down on the muslin with invisible thread. Now, if it would help you, I can write down a list of what I've just told you so that you can keep that list in front of you. I'll put it on our group's IO, or you can write to me and I will send you the list of what are the steps to do this collage landscape. This one is a little less free form, although it's your work, you can do it whatever way you want, but this is a little less free form because we are emulating an existing work of art, and I was just so taken with his image that I really didn't want to change it. There was nothing it lacked. So it's absolutely beautiful. There's a little sun up in here behind the clouds, so you'll use a brightest white you can here. But there's light gray and white. There's medium gray, light yellow, light gray yellow, because a lot of this is the mixing of the colors. If you don't, let's say, I don't have a light gray yellow. Well, then use your closest to it. Then we'll take either colored pencils, or if you're lucky enough to have some ink tints, we can add that gray with our ink tints pencils once this is fully pieced together. Because in any good artwork, you can mix your paints to any possible shade. And so if we can't match it from our own stash, we'll alter it with colored pencils, or especially ink tints pencils that'll stay permanent. But now I want to go back and add some really pretty colors to the bark of this tree. I loved how he did a stained glass look coming down that. So I tell you what, I really love his work, and I want to check some of his tile prices, because I loved what he was doing. All right, so I think let me look at this. Don't forget, I would number this if you have any doubt. But see, you don't have to lose these pieces if you have your muslin, the pattern drawn on the muslin's been prepared with a light fusible interfacing, and you'll have the drawing here, and I would number the pieces so that you know exactly where it's going to go. And then you iron the fusible on top of the muslin, But when you're done, what you're going to do is come in with invisible, monopoly is my favorite, invisible thread, and you'll just do a light zigzag over all of this. Now, one other thing I want you to know, and I'm going to bring this up. This is the most important part. Let me bring this back up 1 second. Oh, come on. Mark told me my mouse was acting up a little. Okay, here we go. I found it. Okay. So, I want to show you again what I love about this photo is the intense coloration. This is just gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. So, oh, that's wonderful. Oh, how exciting. Ah. So, when you're looking through your stash, find vibrant colors. In fact, I kind of listed this layer as medium light blue, but now seeing this closer on a different monitor, I would come in here with little lavenders and purples. Like right here has a purplish look, and you might not be seeing it, but on my monitor, it's kind of nice to have a little layer of lavenders and purples. Here, what I see is teals, kind of a dark turquoise, and then here you get into the dark blues. So, and this teal right here is also reflected in the top of the sky. So you might want to, when you print yours out, add lavenders and periwinkles to these blues. Then I think I already have when I colored this in, I added some green to it to give it a little teal or turquoise look. And then here is the darker blues, just the more pure blues. But that's what gives the Smoky Mountains their wonderful look. A lot of grays in the colors. And but I love the way the sky finishes off here. I mean, I really couldn't find anything that I wanted to change about it. So it's just so beautiful. So, and you notice here, it's like a yellow-gray along this part of the sky. So if you don't have it, get the closest you can get to it, and then we will slightly fix it with ink tints or regular colored pencils if you don't have ink tints. All right, so now the first thing you're going to do is get your let me see what size this is. This is, let me come back to here. This is 16 by 16. So your piece of muslin should be 20 by 20. Okay? 20 by 20 piece of muslin. That gives you 4 inches all the way around. And, no, it doesn't. It gives you 2 inches all the way around. So 20 inches square or 24 inches square. Okay? That'll give you the space to go around. And a piece of interfacing fusible to iron on the back, lightweight, whatever you've got, but lightweight's fine. Then, and that just gives a stiffness because you're going to be sewing stuff onto this. And if you don't have that little extra stiffness, it'll tend to kind of draw up on you or buckle under the stitching. That would be a pain. So that's why I always put fusible interfacing on the back. All right, so then, and I buy that by the bolt too. Although without Joann's anymore, I've got to find a new vendor. So anyway, but you know what to do. It's going to take you a while. Like, do you see that this is a small pile and it's going to get bigger. So, but this, I just grabbed real quick, grabbed some colors I thought I would use. But I know what I was going to show you too. I have made several different quilts lately where I have lots of scraps. Let me go back to my close-up camera. And I've even made, like something like this. I did this was back when I created this pattern on this, but this was an extra block, so I threw it in my scrap pile, because look at that, that's a wonderful red. But here are all my scraps, and a lot of these I used these for, the last thing was the splash, the reverse applique splash quilt. So see how I had good sized pieces of fabric that already have the fusible on the back side, so I keep them in a bag, and that way I can use them. Here's wonderful purple that still got the fusible on the back. So I keep all of these scraps. All these have fusible. Look at all these colors that are already ready to go for this quilt now. So just thought I would show you, but this is going to be wonderful for the sky in this. I mean, look at that. That's going to be great, because you want to give that movement. And here's a little teeny piece of leftover fusible. I save it all because I know I'll use it. The thing I love about art quilting is you really don't use. They're the lesser expense of quilt making, because they use bits and pieces. They use little things that you put together instead of having to buy big yardage. And as long as you have your fusibles and your interfacing and your muslin, you are ready to go. And make sure you have a good monopoly invisible thread for the final sew down. Now, there, if you look at the original image, you will see the little lines he has drawn. Let me bring that back up. You will see the little lines he has drawn in here in the mountain views. What I suggest that we do is, don't worry. This color right here is even enough that I would put one piece of fabric here. Now, if it's a batik or a kind of modeled print, then good for you. But what I'm going to do is then take a darker gray or maybe a blue thread, and when it comes time to quilt, I'm going to quilt the lines in. And right here, where it's a little bit darker, I'll just use ink tints. So we're not going to make it too hard on you. And so far as all of these pieces, I might fit in the colors, but I'm going to do, maybe not all of these, but I'm going to do an applique with some, I don't know, I just love the idea of laying on, like this whole piece, put all these pieces together and back them and put a little thin layer of a scrap of batting, and then do some nice little stippling on it, and then lay this whole piece down as one. I think that would be so cool. So Michael's is trying to fill in Joanne's gaps. Okay, that is good to know. Hello, Miss Cheryl. Mary's here. Oh, this is great. Yeah, Mary and I were talking. In fact, if you don't mind, Miss Mary, Mary's trying to, let me come back to the main screen. Mary is thinking, what do I do with my machines? She's been sewing on some older machines, but you know how older machines do. They tend to kind of break down. They only last for so long, or they end up just being something that needs to go in the shop often. There's two schools of thoughts. Sewing machines, well, they used to be built better. They were real metal instead of all this plastic, and they were, you know, that's true in some ways. But I sewed on a new home that was probably from the 1950s. That was my very first sewing machine. And it smelled of oil. It had the little motor sitting on the top of the big heavy case. And it smelled of oil. It only did straight stitching. Some people get nostalgic by them, but I kind of look at that like I do air conditioning. If you want to be a purist and give up your air conditioning, go for it. But not me. And if you went back into the 1800s and told someone there is this new thing called air conditioning where it can be 100 degrees out, but inside your home it's 73, what do you think they would do? So, there's this little invention called indoor plumbing, and you don't have to go to a well. You don't have to walk out to an outhouse. You don't have to do without showers or bathing, So I love people that collect things and feel nostalgic. Wonderful. But for me, I love modern machines. And you just have to figure out which one works and which didn't. I mean, I bought a Juki machine that was going to be my dream machine that had a little hiccup when you went to use the automatic thread cutter. It held on to the thread. Well, then I ended up finding a woman who bought the just about top of the line Juki and didn't really like it. She wanted a different kind of machine. She wasn't used to Jukis. Well, I love Jukis, and so luckily I got it for half price. That was the best money I ever spent. She had barely used the machine. I'm spoiled by it. So that I got lucky. I got lucky to find her. It was meant to be. But Mary's been talking, what should she do? And right now she's using her, gosh, was it your mother's or something, Kenmore? Now, there was an age Kenmore sewed so beautifully. They were a solid machine. And but then they had the Kenmores with all the cams. Do you remember those? I don't want to go back to those days where you just had all these things you had to put on it, where now they're built in. So you have to decide what you want. I did not want anything to do embroidery. I'm not interested in embroidery. In my opinion, you have to pick and choose your battles when it comes to quilting and sewing. Embroidery adds a lot of money to the cost of a machine. It adds, you have to buy all the software. You have to buy all the thread. I have my interests lie elsewhere. I'd rather spend my money elsewhere. But I love watching people who have embroidery machines and put them to great use. But that's its own art and direction, in my opinion. Now, if money were never an object, oh, sure, I'd have an Applique cutter and an embroidery machine and all that. But no, that's not how I live. When we live on fixed budgets, you have to pick and choose what is really important to you. So for me, I just wanted something that would be, I could make clothes with, make quilts with, make curtains. In fact, I forgot. I went ahead and made my window seat pillow in my guest room, and I even covered the lampshade. So I'll have to bring that up bring that down next time to show you. But some people say go to a store to buy your machine. Go to a sewing shop because you get such good service after. Well, you're going to pay a lot. I'm just warning you. If you do want to buy from a store, look at their gently used machines. And you can look at a machine and tell if someone is a careful user or if they're abusive to the machine. It'll show the scars and the dents and the dings and all of that. But I am a big believer in buying used, because let someone else pay the initial high cost, and you and they, by the time you buy it, you'll know if it has any problems. Buying new is not always, often not the best way to buy something, because you don't know, especially if it's a brand new model. They haven't worked out the kinks. Like I found through buying that Juki DX7, it still had kinks in it. So, but by buying it used, and just, you do have to question, and you have to buy it from somebody who's honest enough to say, you know, because I asked the woman when I bought the Juki, I asked her, does it have any glitches? And she said, no, I'm just not used to it. I don't like it. So, and I love it. I absolutely adore that machine. I'm now happy. That's the last machine I'll ever have. As Mark and I like to tease, that's a toes up machine. I'll give it up when I go out the door, toes up. So anyway, so I don't know if that will help anybody. You can talk to people and find what machine they like, what machine they don't like. Be aware, some machines are inherently more expensive, Bernina, and people swear by them, but you're going to pay the money. Pfaffs are more expensive. Janome seems to be I've had Janomes. They're wonderful machines. They are middle of the road prices, good quality. Jukis, same thing. They might be a little bit more different than some. But there are people out there who love Baby Lock, who love Brother. You know, there are all these things out there. Just thought I'd let you know that. Okay, so that is just, I'm hoping it'll help Mary know. But if you find a machine is spending too much time in the shop, it's time to look for another one. And a good machine is worth everything, because after trying for 2 years to work with that one that kept catching the threads when I would use the thread cutter, and now using the one I have now, oh my gosh, it's night and day. And I can actually go sit down and enjoy sewing instead of being frustrated because something is not working again. So, you know, sometimes we have to say, like I did on that machine, boy, I wasted money on that thing. And I still should call Juki and talk to him about it and say, look, you know, do you have a fix for this? What is it? And I probably should have fought harder from the beginning. The first time it gave me trouble, I should have sent it back. So, but I don't go through a shop. And that's the one downside. I don't, you know, if I had bought it from a certain shop, hopefully they would have, you know, helped or taken it back, given me a better deal or something. So, all right. Well, I think it's time for show and tell. I don't know if I have many new, I have a few new pictures. I do know that. Oh, the corn moon glow tonight. I love that. The corn moon glow. Okay, it's a thing, I guess. And now let me, I'm going to look up. I know I took some photos. And I didn't have time. I'm sorry. I did not have time to download them. And I apologize for that. Oh, is anybody with these cold fronts coming through, has anybody's arthritis been giving you a fit like mine has? All right. So my granddaughter, Charlie, is in she got into her cosmetology school. She's so excited. She really wants to work with non-binary genders and help people figure out what kind of style speaks to their soul and it helped them discover how to match their outside appearance with their inside gender. And here is her. She's got her own cubicle, and this she's worked on shampooing, giving these. I don't know how they do this, but they give them hair to cut. What did I do? Okay. So that's some of her work, and I'm so excited for her. She is going to school every day, then she works. I mean, it's just, but she's loving what she's doing, and I think she feels like she's found her niche, and that is so, so important. So now let me go to, I think I had something on here. So, we just put up a new bird feeder in the living room window, and it's one of the clear acrylic feeders, so I can sit, because I have a bird feeder outside my sunroom, but I said, what about when I'm in the living room? So, we got one. And I've been watching these YouTube cake decorators, and so made a cake last night, and I decorated the heck out of it. It's not, speaking of that, I did go to get weighed, and it'd been a few weeks, and I stayed exactly the same, down to the 1/10 of an ounce. That's a stubborn body here, let me tell you. And so I'm going to have to add more exercise if I want to get past this plateau. But, okay. So let me look again. And of course, making that cake might not be the best way to lose more weight. But, okay, there was, remember how I told you that the deer had been eating, okay, come on, get bigger. How do I do this? How the deer had been eating on my plants, even on my back deck. So I don't know if you can see that close enough, but we've got a roll of chicken wire that goes up 3 feet. And finally, I was able to enjoy a blossom on the hibiscus. So I thought I would show you that. And I think that's in here is when I first started drawing the pattern, drawing it and cutting it out. So, okay, now let's go and see we want to see, I still turn off that light even though I do the photos within this new system. Also, notice that it says subscribe and hit like on the entry and the exit screens. Mark did that for me, and I'm thrilled. Yay! Okay, so this, I'm so happy, Reed, that you didn't mind us, that you encouraged us to use your beautiful artwork. What a talented fellow he is. Okay, so now we're going to do show and tell. And here we come. All right. Let me see. I don't think, nope. Okay. No, I don't think I have anything there. Miss Bonnie, you know, she took my wonderful orphan blocks and turned them into candle mats and mug rugs. Couldn't be more proud of her doing that. So think about this. If you have little things, think about sending them forward where they can become something wonderful for someone else. Because not everything we make is something we want to finish. Let me see. I don't think... Oh, here we go. Here is Charlie at her school, at her cosmetology school, and I just love it, and I love how she's already decorated with her name up there. Isn't it the most wonderful thing when you find where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to do? I just love that. Okay, Miss Debbie got home from her vacation, got her quilt top all put together. I absolutely love it. And she said her next one she's going to do with a dark background. She loved that, but I love her colors here. I love the purple coming through. That is the prettiest plum purple. Okay, so here's another photo of it. Here's a close-up of her blocks. And look at this. She was given, a friend's mother passed and had a lot of quilting supplies, and she was given boxes of supplies plus unfinished projects. And this is what she's done. She's practiced her trapunto with them, and I think they are lovely. And that now, instead of that woman's beautiful work just being cast aside or thrown away, it has a new life. So please remember, pardon me, I've got the hiccups now. I do this sometime when I get excited and I breathe a lot or fast. But isn't that beautiful? So way to go, Miss Debbie, giving things new life and new purpose. And you might say, well, if I finish these, what do I do with them? Well, maybe you take them to a nursing home or make them into like a little pouch to go in someone's walker. There are so many different things we can do to bring joy into someone else's life. And here's Miss Hopi. Look at her beautiful, that is the most meticulous, careful work. I love it. Good job, Miss Hopi. And let's see, that's her wonderful mosaic. Now this is a wonderful winter quilt she did. You know, she lives up in Canada, way far up where Labradors were invented. And look, remember when I was talking about there's places in this new art quilt that people can do hand embroidery, and that's just what Miss Hopi did. In fact, I'm going to do it on our new fall Smoky Mountains landscape. I'm going to do some hand embroidery too. I love that. And then here is her Snails Trail block. There's the picture that she used to make that wonderful landscape. I love this quilt. That is so cute. All right. Very nice. Thank you very much. I hope I didn't miss anything, Miss Hopi. If ever I don't show your photos on that Sunday and you know you sent it to me, you might want to send it again. Because sometimes I have to be honest, sometimes I miss things or I see it and fail to put it immediately. Come on, why is this not wanting to open? My computer has been acting up and I do have to apologize. Now, these should open up. What is this? Huh. I think let me see. Well, I don't know why these are acting up, but okay. Oh, it's only opening up this one. But this, I do apologize, my laptop is acting up. And now let me see, will it open this one or not? Yeah, now see, it worked on that one. But I love these hats, and these are reversible, so you can have a different look depending on how you feel. Great job, Miss Joso. Love, love, love. Okay, now, let's see. Linda Williams has sent me. Linda Williams is a new member, great lady. Has worked in education about her whole life. And look at these wonderful quilts. I just love her vision. That is just, I have wanted to try to get into some impromptu quilting. And I love it. I love this. This was a wedding quilt, I think for a daughter, but it might be a granddaughter, I apologize. And then look at her collage landscape. Look at this. And got her kitties, and this is a wonderful version of collage landscaping. And I'm real big with, if you have scissors, glue, and fabric, you can do it. So, yeah, we're excited to have Miss Linda in our group. So, thank you, Miss Linda, for those pictures that you sent to us. Okay, now let me go back and see where we are. Go back. Whoops, come on. Whoops. All right. Miss Mary sent, what is, you know that she did her a wonderful mosaic quilt. Love it. I love her blackbirds and her dolls and her Snails Trail. And then here is her wonderful happy splash quilt. Isn't that wonderful? And it's the reverse applique like Splash I did, but I love how she puts her own touch, her own signature on her work. So it just makes me happy. Okay, so now I want to see if we can try to figure out how to do the Marcia. Yes, Marcia Hun sent the wonderful 3D flower garden. I just love that. And she gave me the idea of using these lunch meat containers for different purposes, and I'm all for that. Recycle, reuse. Okay. Oh, Melanie sent some brand new pictures. And I don't know if you remember, but when her friend, was it Barbara? I'm trying to remember her friend's name. When she came down, she did this beautiful quilt. So I'm gonna have to zoom past a couple others to, oh, go back one. Let me see. No, okay, I had it at the right place. Her husband, Dan, he has a wonderful, a male view of looking at things like with an engineer's brain. And I love it. You know, he had his surgery in July, and he still has to take it easy and slowly heal. But look at these amazing quilts that have a wonderful man's point of view. I love the plaids there. I just, look at that. That is just so cute. Way to go, Dan. That is wonderful. Okay, and there's a willow. Got to have a willow. So, and here he is sitting at his desk working on a quilt. And of course, Willow's got to be very close, right close by. Isn't that nice? I love how they remodeled that room. Really looks good. And how nice they can spend good time together. And then this is one that Melanie finished herself. Okay, so now let me close that. Let's see what we've got. Back to show and tell. Melton had some vacation pictures that are really cute, and I'm just so tickled with our Melton, and I love how she shows us pictures of her life in Turkey. It's just so exciting to see a whole new country. Well, it's not a new country, it's an ancient country, but I love this. Just beautiful. She's brave to get up on that little catwalk there, I tell you. So beautiful. Thank you so much, Miss Melton. I feel like I learned something as well as have fun with all of you. And this is something, oh, I love this shadow quilt that Polly did. I just love it. What a great job. What great quilting work she did on this. Beautiful, Miss Polly. Very good. And Miss Polly would tell you she's a relatively new quilter. I'm like, are you kidding me? How can she be new? And then 2 by Miss Cheryl. This was her Barcelona Opera House gate quilt that was displayed at a recent quilt show. And then her friends, who, it's a wonderful Egyptian lantern quilt that her friend made, and she said it's really absolutely gorgeous. That is so, so wonderful. So thank you for sending these photos in, because it's really, really nice for us to be able to enjoy them. I think that's it for right now. Oh, speaking of working, I did have a day that I started working on my second half of this Mobius quilt. So hopefully at some point I'm going to finish this quilt from a class I took back in May, June, something like that. So, all right. Now we have finished with that. I'll come back to detail camera, and these beads are looking beautiful, and I think they are just about dry. But isn't it wonderful when you put the finish on? They really, and I wish you could see the design. And this was from taking 3 different colors of clay, laying a silver, one of those silver thin metallic sheets on it that are just like gossamer, and then working out, I think we made canes or something, but I love that. All right, now, whoops, let me find something for my hand. Got a little something on it. All right, let me move this out of the way. Oh, and did you notice I'm getting excited about fall? So I brought down a mum that I haven't painted yet. Planted yet, so we could enjoy it. All right. So now let me lay this out. I wonder which way. I'll put it this way and get some of this out. Get this. There are just, you know I'm always talking about a budget, but it's because I love doing so much. And if I do it on a budget, I can do more. So, but that we're so lucky to have things that we can afford. Now, this is plugged in. Well, oh, maybe, I know, oh, I didn't plug it fully in. There we go. So now, oh shoot, it's stuck. Let me come back to the main, and you'll see the little, now let me come back. I'm hoping I haven't oh, it could be this that is acting up. What does this go to? All right, let me see. All right. Let me see if I can get us back to that. Okay. Here we'll go. No, it froze. Pooh. Oh, well, you know what? Oh, it froze, and I don't know what I did. I was plugging in this light thing here.
Okay.
Luckily, Mark's back down to help. Oh, yay. Yay, he got it back. Thank you, hon. I'll tell you what, I'm very, very lucky. Very lucky. All right. So I'm going to put the dispenser, and just so you know, I've got the door open. I've got 2 fans blowing because I don't want to take any chances. All right. We'll see how this works. So I bring out the pieces. I'll just set up these first. Okay. And what you're going to do is you're going to carefully, well, let me see. Here we go. You carefully put the resin and I'm trying to be careful. I don't want it to run over the edge if I can help it. So I'm going to try. This is the first time I've ever done this. But she tries to come right up to the edge and put the resin down. And I see why they say use good ventilation, because it's strong. And having asthma, I have to be careful. Okay, so carefully, slowly. I love this. The resin is thick and it dries thick, you know, and so it looks just really nice. I want it slightly to go over the edge. Okay, just slightly. All right. Carefully put this on. Whew, that is a smell. Make sure you use good ventilation. You don't want to get sick. Alright. So you just put it on carefully. You don't shake it because you don't want bubbles in your resin. And this is a resin that's supposed to resist turning yellow. And that's important. Now, after you put that on, put that lid on real fast again, you can take a little skewer or whatever, and if you see any little places where it's not smooth, just use that skewer and use the skewer and make sure there are no bubbles, make sure that it's fully covered. See, the resin will allow you to draw it close to the edge. So, alright, just making sure it looks good. Then I'm going to move these to under the light because I did spill a little bit of resin. I don't want to cure, I don't want to cure the resin onto the mat. Okay. Now push this one up into place. And you just take your time. I'm moving a little bit faster. And this is, I want to push it until get the longest setting possible. And she said it was about 15 minutes that she likes to set it. Now, you don't have to use this light. You don't have to use this light because you can set it out in the sun and the sun will set it. So the UV rays coming from sunshine. So if you have a nice non-cloudy, a nice sunny day, it takes longer with the clouds. But now you just, and I'm just going to show you real quick that how much prettier it really brings out the details when it has the finish on it. Oh boy, those are strong fumes. Woo! So when they say do it in a very well ventilated area, that's exactly what they mean. Alright, take one more look and then we'll keep letting it cure. But I think they'll be real pretty. All right. Okay. Whoops. Now what is this doing? Okay. Come back to the main. And I think we covered just about everything we wanted to cover. So, any questions from any of you? Yes, Super Mark to the rescue. I'm going to make him a cake. Yes, that's what I need to do. So, yay. Oh, I love dagnabbit. Don't you love that phrase? Oh, gosh. Well, all of you, thank you so much for joining me today and understanding when I wasn't feeling up to anything last week. And but hopefully everything is going to stay good. Oh, and don't look into the UV light any more than you have to. Just keep your hands away, keep your eyeballs away. They're just little LED bulbs, so it's not like, ooh, scary. But you want to take it easy. And definitely with the good ventilation. What I'm hoping to do is do this kind of stuff outside, so I don't even have to worry, as long as any little bugs don't land in it and cure themselves. But thank you so much. I hope that I gave you some things to look at and some things to think about and dream about. I want to thank Reed again. What a great artist. And you know, I've always thought artists are just the best. They're generous and sharing. Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you. And I hope you all have a very good week ahead. I think the temperatures are going to stay cooler. I'm all for that. And take good care of yourself. Do something just for you. You can't take care of other people unless you've taken care of yourself first. So take good care. I will see you next week.